Hello, this is Mesh, and welcome to another recap review of Westworld. So this is for Season 2, Episode 7. So this was probably the most action-packed episode we've had since the Season 1 finale. So we have Maeve versus the Man in Black, we have Dolores versus all the security. So we've had the characters all descend on the Mesa, a real confluence of those story arcs which ended badly for many. So these violent delights have violent ends indeed. So moving on to the story here. So once again, as we've seen throughout Season 2, we start the episode with the most advanced timeline. So Ashley Stubbs is finally getting a little bit smarter here. So he's starting to see through Carl Strand and seeing that he isn't rescuing anyone. So Stubbs and Bernard try and escape, ultimately getting caught. So we then see Carl Strand's investigation, which is taking them to Ford's old underground facility. So the place where Bernard killed Teresa, because they found Teresa's DNA. They're still trying to hunt down the key here. So then we have full disclosure on Bernard. So it's now official. Everyone knows that Bernard is a host. After that point, Charlotte torturing Bernard, trying to get the entire story as what happened with Dolores and Abernathy as they're still trying to track down his control unit. And at that point we travel back in time in Bernard's memories in combination with Charlotte's memories as well. So we see Bernard remembering his time within the Cradle. Fantastic scenes here. Some great quotes as always from Ford. A good one was, "God didn't rest on the seventh day. He reveled in his creation." I thought that was fantastic. What the plot takeaway from this whole scene, I believe though, is we see Bernard finally understand whose control unit he printed. Of course it was Ford's, we kind of all knew that I believe. So Ford trying to help Bernard understand the bigger picture around the park's purpose. Just saying, don't you understand what this place really is? Saying, James Delos wouldn't waste all that money on himself. He was a businessman. The guests are variables and the hosts are the controls. So watch the guests so that Delos can understand them, so that Delos can copy them. We aren't here to code the hosts, we're here to decode the guests. So the project isn't done as well, which is something we have seen before. So they've learned to copy the mind, but that's all at the moment. But they're definitely working on that. All these points have been portrayed to us previously, but they've just been spread across the season in a fragmented manner. So the copying of the guest data and the DNA, we've seen it before. Trying to implant that consciousness into James Delos, we've seen it before. So then we see Ford take Bernard to his old house, which we've previously seen in an earlier episode. And the explanation is fantastic here. So a lot more detail on the Cradle, that Arnold and Ford used to use the Cradle as a test area. So he designed the house in the Cradle before building it in the real world. So if you like, you could call the Cradle a safe zone. It's a common technique used in the world of coding and technology, making a segregated area that people can test and try new techniques without impacting the business. So that looks like one more reason for the Cradle, and of course the backups as well. So the final point from the Cradle was Ford putting his code inside Bernard somehow. So whilst Bernard is still in the host, he's also now joined by Ford. Which is very lucky because shortly after this occurs, we see the Cradle is destroyed. So Bernard and Elsie and the mind of Ford are escaping as planned. Okay, now let's move on to Dolores, Ashley, Charlotte and Stubbs. So we see Charlotte trying to remove the data from Abernathy with no luck here. A fantastic line from Charlotte as well, Charlotte Hale. The project is a turning point for the human species. I think that's a very important line. So we see Dolores and Teddy storm the Mesa, as we've seen building up for a while. So the hosts steal security guards' clothes to really outsmart the security. They really do dismantle the security teams as well. And then we see Dolores nearly put an end to Charlotte Hale, but luckily Charlotte manages to escape with the help of Ashley Stubbs. We see Dolores cut out the control unit from her father as well. So she now has sacrificed her father to get that data. As they also kind of accepted that her father was really a dead end, you could say. He was a lost cause with what they've done to him. So a fair amount of important character deaths as well. So we see Abernathy, of course, Coughlin as one, Clementine, Lawrence as well, and Angela. So they're all gone within this episode. Obviously Lawrence wasn't in this part, but he did bite the dust in Maeve versus Man in Black. So now, speaking of Lawrence, let's move on to Maeve versus the Man in Black. What an epic shootout between those guys. An epic showdown, you could say. How many times can William be shot and survive? I think he took 5 bullets in that scene and he's still going. But I doubt he can last for much longer. And I wonder, is that the end of him ultimately, or will someone turn up to save him? And then my immediate thought is who could actually save him at this point, and who is close to him is probably his daughter. But how is she going to patch him up? He's taken a lot of bullets there, so it will be interesting to see what will happen. But we have seen there is technology around, future technology which may be able to save him. It's just a question of do they have access to that. We also see Lee Sizemore save Maeve, saying we need her. We also see Maeve's daughter taken by the Ghost Nation. What Lee says as well makes a lot of sense. If Maeve is on Lee Sizemore's side, she could be a very powerful ally. She could shut down a lot of hosts remotely, as we've seen her do. So that could really help to get the park under control if Maeve sides with the humans. And that seems to be where that might be going, but that's drawing a long bow, of course. So what a fantastic episode. So much action, so much carnage. So 5 important characters snuffed out as well. So it'll be sad to see them go, but we have more replacing them all the time anyway. We had some very intriguing statements and scenarios unfold within this episode as well. So points we have covered. So Bernard detailing out the Delos approach to Westworld, which we've seen from various sources, but always good to get that more of a abridged version there from someone's perspective. So Delos stealing the DNA of guests, stealing the guests' history, trying to decode guests themselves. Also, the great conversation between Charlotte and Dolores. The conversation is that, I guess, the more confirmation that Delos has been trying to master that technology they were trying on James Delos, but on a mass scale, so they can actually sell it to humans. So here you go, here is a host version of yourself, which we can implant your conscious in, and you can live forever. So you can live forever as a host version of yourself. Well, what an exceptional episode, I thought. For me, one of the best this season. Great action, some great plot twists with Maeve and the Men in Black. I didn't expect that to happen to either of those characters. Both of them are not in a good state. Most other story arcs within the episode did kind of follow on the trajectory I assumed they would from the previous episode. But still, it was a splendid episode all round. I didn't come away with many theory points for my next video. That was until I watched the trailer for next week. So I will aim to do a theories video on the trailer for next week if you're interested. So subscribe to get an update when that comes out. And also, if you're going to watch that, watch the trailer for next week as it does look amazing. But for now, I shall leave this here. Give me a thumbs up if you like this content. Leave your feedback below. Did you like the episode? Did you not? Did you think of any points that I missed here? And I shall leave this video here. So until next time, this is Mesh, and I'll see you later.